We're back. It's Saturday. It's League of Legends time. Turn off the television. Turn off the computer. Turn the computer back on, because otherwise you can't watch us. And you can't see my fine friends here. Joined by Spawn and Egypt.
He really threw you, didn't he?
He did. He totally threw me.
Yes.
So just before we started, I was like, is there anything in particular you guys want to talk about? And Bryce was like, no, we'll just talk some crap. And then he went, I'm Nick Bio, welcome to day 2, split one. And
I used to do that all the time because Jake would open the show and I'd be like, hello everyone and welcome to the OPL. My name is Jake Spawn Tiberi. Joining me is Bryce Egypt. I just love mimicking the intros.
You got in my
He
head.
secretly wants to be the host of the show, but has never been confident enough to go to Richard and Matt and be like, you know what? I think I can do it.
Look,
Fire
maybe
me.
next week that's my chair.
Maybe it is. We'll see. We'll see what happens next week, because maybe it is your chair. Maybe there's just a big old Chico roll here with a computer on his lap. We're back. I'm looking forward to today. I don't know if it can get weirder than yesterday.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I was going to ask during rehearsal, but then we kind of didn't rehearse. Like, what are the outcomes from today that makes it even weirder? Is it Chiefs winning? Is it Bombers?
Well,
No,
I think Chiefs winning would be like the definite thing.
Yeah.
I feel like Mammoth upsetting Chiefs now that they've lost a bunch of games. Like questions are in the air about like how they are performing. If they beat Chiefs are tied to top dogs up there with the Bombers. Like that would throw things into a way. I feel like Bombers over Gravitas. If that goes Gravitas way,
Yep.
hell yeah. But also that would be a big upset. I feel like so there are games today where it could get even weirder.
But I mean, there's a difference between just saying, oh yeah, if all the non-favorites win, it's a weird day. Versus what is the weirdest one?
Yeah,
is
okay.
is it Gravitas taking down
Bombers,
or is it Mammoth biting back and taking down Chiefs? Because whatever happens there, if the other favorite wins, we have an outright first place.
Yeah. Because Chiefs and Bombers just play back to back. I think it's definitely game 2. I think it is the Bombers game.
Okay.
If there's an upset there, it is definitely more of an upset than if Mammoth bounced back.
And what is more likely, Gravitas upset or Mammoth upset? In quotation marks.
Gravitas upset.
Okay.
I'm excited by this. I think the weirdest thing would be if Tectonic came back and just beat everyone tonight. That would be really
That would be
strange.
very weird.
In saying that, if you took Split 1 Tectonic back, Paparazzi is playing fine.
Yep.
Swaith and Shock are playing good.
Shock showing up.
Yep.
I mean, I haven't seen Transom Value in a while, but Guncrab, he's playing pretty good.
He had some pretty bloody good games on Tectonic when he subbed in.
Yeah, I mean, all of a sudden, maybe they're not a winless team in this year's OPL.
Maybe they just need a better logo. Maybe that was what was holding them back. I reckon that was probably it.
Maybe they just needed a big thing of ice break across their
That's
chest.
all they need. They just need to be powered by milk. Speaking of powered by milk, we got games on today that will result in chili tips. Everything's going to go wrong today for someone's mouth. Those games today we're checking out are the Chiefs versus Mammoth. We've got Bombers versus Gravitas, followed by Direwolves versus, I want to say the boys from Melbourne, but half the teams are now from Melbourne, so that's not a thing anymore.
I still want us to be the boys from Melbourne.
You're just owning the other teams.
Well, we have Melbourne on our shoulder.
That is true.
There is no
It's
Melbourne
very
on
weird.
Gravitas' shoulder. Bombers are from Essendon. That's north of the city. Who else is down there? Mammoth? They're from the north of the city. We're from Melbourne.
You've gone for an adventurous shirt, but wearing a pineapple doesn't make you a pineapple. No more than just riding Melbourne on your shoulder make you the only boys from Melbourne in the OPL.
You guys are all north of the city. That's all I'd say.
Is that a problem?
Melbourne is the city. You guys aren't in the city.
I'm not from Melbourne, so to be completely honest, I don't have a good grasp of where I am in relation to anything.
I'm going to tell you, I don't care about anything other than the street that I live on. And then the final game we have today is Legacy versus Avant. Of course, you can watch on os.lollysports.com. You can get yourself Blue Essence, you can get XP, you can get icons, you can get emotes, you can get a good feeling about yourself because you haven't been part of... I was going to say toxic Twitch chat, but they're all watching right now, so there's probably some good ones in there. Speaking of spicy tips, let's talk about some spicy tips. Let's get that graph up. It was a good day for me yesterday.
Oh, whoa, wow. Hang on.
It all rides on the first game.
Okay, I like this.
Chiefs.
Yes. What do you
Interesting.
mean? Don't look at me surprised with Chiefs.
Everyone said Mammoth were the super team that are favourites to win the season.
Okay.
It's only week 3, Bryce.
Yes, and
you and Pyra are just off the hook. I know why Pyra did it, because there's a meme in the Chiefs house at the moment that Pyra hates him, so he's trying to get brownie points
so
back. So
Whoa.
ignore
I
his.
picked this before they told me about that.
Pyra is hard backtracking, but no, I just think Chiefs have just strictly looked like a better team. What do you mean? They've performed better. They have a better record. Mammoth have been underwhelming.
They lost to Order.
Okay. Mammoth,
mean, okay?
Mammoth lost to Direwolves yesterday.
Yeah, but
I feel like
your
Chiefs
tips
is
were
a
done
much...
before this, weren't they?
Well, yeah. So I just have incredible
you
foresight.
can't
I'm
use
an analyst.
You can't use that rationale.
Well, no, it's relevant now. Like, but
is
I
a
think
Saturday. They've
even
never
before
lost on
that point, like
Saturday.
last week, Chiefs still look better than Mammoth.
Chiefs lost to Order last week.
Yeah. So Mammoth lost games last week as well.
I like it. You're saying that we're a legitimate title contender at the moment, so I'll take it. But that's a bold call for me.
Okay, sure. I don't think it's that bold. I think it's the default call, to be honest.
Okay.
That's interesting because I did go back and forth on the first one, but then settled on Mammoth. Obviously, you didn't go back and forth on game number 2, and we'll just slide right past that one.
Where you tip Bombers
You
over
tipped Bombers
Gravitas.
over-
No, I didn't.
Did you?
That is wrong. I tipped Gravitas.
No one believes
Against
you.
Bombers?
Yeah.
Really?
No, I tipped us.
Why did you
no.
not?
Okay, this is genuinely wrong. If I submitted the wrong thing, but I genuinely meant to tip us.
Really?
Yes.
Is that a leap of faith for the boys, or
Yes.
feeling good this
No,
week?
this is wrong.
Okay.
I am
no,
adamant.
that's fine.
Yeah.
I'm fine for you. I'm fine. I accept the correction on air because
Yeah.
it also makes it more interesting because
Yes.
it means that it relies on more than game number 1. But okay,
Yeah.
so your number 2 is Gravitas.
Yeah, my number 2 is Gravitas.
Everyone else cool with their tips?
Yeah.
Speak now, forever hold your
Nah,
peace.
go for it.
We're good.
I'm definitely holding on to Chiefs.
Fantastic. Someone in the chat, Captain Swag Daddy, said, I miss Hingers. I miss Hingers too.
That's nice. I miss Hingers as well. Rest in peace.
The first game we've got up today, Chiefs versus Mammoth. I feel like we've just heard a lot about that game. But how about you talk us through Mammoth, Jay? Because you were feeling so passionate.
All right, cool. Of course, Mammoth going to be coached by Fantix. Are we going to bring the lineup up, or are we just...
I think they're probably busy fixing that spicy tips graphic.
Ah.
Yeah,
They're frantically there.
You know, they got Topu and
Yeah.
Babbitt and Triple making up the top side of the map, and of course, King and Destiny 2017, Dire Wolfian bottom lane. Now back together, reunited on this Mammoth lineup, and it has been a shocker start for them. However, Triple did tweet out today that this is going to be the start of the greatest comeback ever.
Okay.
So, you know, they've gone hard on the kind of movie narrative aspect, I guess. Like maybe this is a
is the
Netflix
redemption
drama
arc.
coming
Yeah,
out
okay.
or something. This is a redemption arc.
Because in the Twitter sphere as well, like Destiny last night after the game, he was like, "Nothing has made me angry," and like the start to this season there was a line, and then it was just tragic, full stop. And that's what he said. So they are incredibly unhappy with where they are, and if this is the redemption start, it needs to be.
Because everyone said, you know, they're not playing as good as they should be and all these other things. But like, let's put some quantifiable things around it. They look like a team without a leader. Like, categorically, it looks like they all can play the laning phase still fine. You know,
All good
some
players.
deaths, some up in CS, you know. It looks pretty scrappy, kind of looks solo queue-esque, I would say, in my opinion. But then it gets to the mid game, and this team needs someone to take the game by the scruff of the neck and actually make a call. And we were saying, you know, if that was, you know, we'll use Papyrus for an example on the Silas yesterday. He probably tries to solo kill his direct opponent to get a lead because he knows with that much CS, he has control of the game. And if that's like a rogue, he's probably looking for a support play that will like get them in a game. FBI is probably diving into the team. You know, you got someone like Claire or Swiffer in the mid lane. They're going to take control of the game as well. Other teams have these people that will step up in big moments. And right now, I think Mammoth are giving too much agency to each other. It's like, we'll win because we're all good. And it's not like Triple going to be like, I'm going to win this game off a play, or Destiny's like, I'm going to win a game off this play. That's what made Destiny so good on the Chiefs, was he was like, I'm just flash going.
There's something about the Chiefs that just means
I'm telling you, it's
flash
Swiper.
going in.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it's Swiper.
Yeah.
So I just think that, you know, they need to, I hope they went home last night and just had a good hard look in the mirror, like Juve style, and were like, if we win this season, it's going to be because I play well, not because our team plays well.
You feel like that's what they need, like right now.
They
to
need
turn it around.
individual agency to turn this season
Yeah.
around.
Okay. Interesting.
That's my pick.
Okay. And that's why you tipped them over Chiefs.
Yeah, absolutely, because they're
Yeah.
going to do it.
Okay. That's
I
some
hope.
I don't want to
That is
reference a
some
team that I and many other people literally consider to be Satan. But it's like Tom Brady and the Pats. You just know that Brady's going to get it done, and the entire team is built around him.
Yeah, like Westbrook in Oklahoma City.
Yep.
Like, you know.
This is topical, Bryce. The Super Bowl's on
Genuinely
tomorrow.
no idea what we're talking about right now. But
There's
that's
another
fine.
team that's playing this game, and that, of course, is the Chiefs.
Yes.
Or are the Chiefs. Bryce, talk us through.
Boys in blue once again. Coach Volt will be standing behind them. We made some cheeky eye contact as I was walking into the studio. He had a sly grin on his face, so must be feeling good about their matchup here today. Big Swips, the Armored Titan Swiper in the top lane. Only, won't forget him today, in the jungle with his old duo queue partner in Claire. Raze and Ayla rounding out the rest of this roster. And this is the ex-Chiefs bottom lane in this little 1v1 matchup. It's Quinny K, Raze, versus his ex-support in Destiny, now going over to Mammoth. So there's some individual rivalry here that makes it a bit more spicy.
Who did Chiefs play yesterday?
Chiefs, No, they beat Gravitas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was
very
okay.
clean
Yeah.
performance.
This is a scary lineup again.
Yes.
How does this happen every time, Bryce?
What do you mean?
Every time we go into the season, it's like, Chiefs, maybe on the downswing, they've lost like too many superstar players to really make a run. Then we get to week 3 and it's like, wow, this team's
they're pretty
really
good.
scary. Their bottom lane, like much better than I thought they would be. I think that's like probably the understatement of the year. Raze and Ayla have just kind of come out of nowhere and like maybe the best bottom lane in the league right now.
Potentially so far, like have been performing because Raze as a player that, I mean, it's sort of a broadcast meme. I guarantee you, talking to Quinn, he's not like, no, I'm not a lane. Like, he doesn't think I'm bad at laning and I'm good at team fighting. Like, people call him a team fighting AD carry, but his laning has been very good this split. They beat out an FBI Rogue in the Bombers match. And then Ayla, I feel like, has just come out of the gate swinging. Every time I talk about him, he's just very aggressive. He makes smart decisions, but he's also incredibly decisive.
And there's something about Chiefs junglers because only right now, look how Babip looked last year. Where everyone was like, wow, Babip, this guy that was like, behind Carbon for so long, now showing himself like, besides Shermfire, might be the best jungler in the league. And now he's on Mammoth and he's looking a little bit sloppy and now only playing on the Chiefs. Like, his early game pathing has been very good. Like, he's been picking on people. I think, like, looking at him, he might be one of the best junglers, if not the best jungler in the league. This team just, every single person they bring in to fill these roles just somehow played well in their lineup. You got to credit the Chiefs. They've never had a bad League of Legends team ever.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see how they handle today's game. Of course, we spoke about him before, but someone who desperately wants to win this is Destiny, and he's our Twitter POV stream that you can check out on our Twitter page at OPL. And today, one of our segments, we're going to be deciding on a theme for next week for the Lunar New Year. It's the Chinese Lunar New Year. We're going to be looking for some ideas for how to theme the episode.
Is it Year of the Pig?
I believe it is Year of the Pig, yes. And so we'll have some suggestions, so if you could please leave them in the chat using the hashtag IMOPL or on Twitter, that would be great. We're going to throw it over to the desk now with Pyra and Rusty.
Thank you for that very much, Nick Boy. We are moments away from getting into picks and bans. Now, Rusty, I feel like this game definitely is a huge test for Mammoth because they have had that long look in the mirror at this point, but they're up against Chiefs. Red hot team at the moment.
It's very hard to say that this is the moment where it bounces back for Mammoth. That part is very hard to say for certain because this should be what is considered a top-of-the-table clash regardless, right? So this is just a big game, but it's big for so many different reasons now compared to what it was meant to be when you look at the rosters individually. It's the redemption arc for Mammoth right now. Can they bring it back today? Can they find a hero? I actually do agree with what Spawn said. They need an individual to step up to the plate and make those big plays, and I think it is Destiny personally. He's the one that I would have to look at and say it is his responsibility to step up to the plate.
This game is even bigger for him because he is going up against his old team. He's going up against Raze as well. So we'll see if that kind of plays into it a little bit more as we get into picks and bans. Alistair Rakan banned away. Despite the nerfs, Rakan keeps on coming. And Cassiopeia banned out by Mammoth.
Yeah, the Rakan ban is definitely curious. I can't help but wonder why they've chosen to ban that one away. A lot of people have been memeing about just how weird or slow it feels now to be Rakan, but you can't deny that a flash RW from a Rakan is very good engage, so they may just be getting rid of those engage tools.
Isn't Korea just playing him with like Predator and stuff as well? So like that's like one way to make up for the lack of speed.
Yes, there has been some Predator Rakans. That is definitely one way to make up for it, but you lose a lot of other things in laning phase in terms of your laning strength. So that's why I think Rakan is like necessary with Xayah now.
That's a fair point. So we also see a couple other power picks taken off the board. The Aatrox, the Olaf, that's been very popular this week. But that does mean that the floodgates are open to the Akali, which in all likeliness should go the way of Claire.
Yeah, big Akali players actually here. Triple can play it himself, but they lock it in first here. Chiefs on the blue side. Urgot was available. Aatrox isn't. So while they go for the Akali early, the Chiefs, I'm surprised that they don't give Swiper something that he would be very comfortable on. However, while there is an Urgot, there is a Scion, and it is Swiper, so there's no big surprises there that he may just go for the Scion in their second rotation.
Looks like Mammoth are going to be a bit more concerned about trying to neutralize this Akali threat because an Akali that gets rolling, we've seen so many video clips of 1v5ing over and over again, so it makes sense to see the Lissandra locked in here to try and play up against that. And also, King will get his hands on to the Kai'Sa, so it goes back over to Chiefs.
Yeah, a bit of early CC as well through the mid laner that the Kai'Sa can use very nicely. Someone to lock you down. No Alistar available this time, however, for the Mammoth bot lane, so no Kai'Sa Ali duo that you're used to seeing there. But the high priority from the Mammoth, once again, from these boys on something that isn't the Urgot, means that it will pass through, and Topun gets to answer Swiper in the top lane.
We'll see what he picks to answer. Chiefs still have another one, though, so Let's see if they opt to take a jungle this time around and leave their bottom lane to last, or if they pick up an AD carry at risk of it kind of being dipped in. Oh, it's neither. They actually go for the Braum instead for Ayla.
Yeah, they match the lane, but not the champion or the role within that lane. They go for a support with their top lane, and now for Mammoth, I would expect they go towards another solo laner. Aurelia up and available, someone that wasn't really seen through the first few picks. We mentioned Urgot not being seen till second rotation. Well, how about Aurelia third?
Well, she's been banned consistently, maybe not this week as much, but it happened a lot in the first 2 weeks of the OPL. All right,
even this week. She's been fairly consistently touched as well. People not necessarily wanting to give that one up. Of course, Moss Aurelia has seen some changes coming about. It's still a very often banned champion.
All right, so there's definitely a lot of power picks going both ways at this point. We'll see what the next couple of bans bring about, since teams are lacking just a couple more picks. We see the Ezreal, the Nocturne, Morgana banned away now.
And remember, with the Chiefs at this stage already, there's been 2 support bans taken away as one picked, and now a third support is going to be banned. They could even consider the Thresh now, take away literally everything that they possibly can from Destiny and see where he goes. There's no easy counter matchups for a Braum as well. You can play some niche picks perhaps, but we'll see where they go here. Mammoth, as they have to answer with a support champion with not a lot left.
Doubling down for sure. So this should be the support pickup, as they will want to try and save another pick for last. 13 seconds still to decide here. What would you pick in this situation, Rusty?
I would pick Bard, so I'm not the one that you should ask.
As soon as I asked, I realized, wait a minute, I'm not going to get a serious answer. The Tahm Kench has been a choice that has kind of been bandied about a little bit, and he's actually received a number of bans himself. So he goes away, but that is a Draven pickup for Raze.
Yeah, they see the Tahm Kench locked in, and immediately Raze goes towards the Draven. He knows that with a more defensive-oriented support, having the Braum there for himself as well. Braum's good in a Tahm Kench, so again, they get rid of a lot of matchups. Now they get an auto-attack-based AD with high damage. It's a very big pressure-based bottom lane 2v2. And then they throw in a Zac, and they have an Urgot, and they've got an Akali to dive. Tahm Kench can only do so much to help this team. Mammoth have to bring something out that works with this last pick for Babip in the jungle.
Yeah, so I'm very excited about this composition. I'll ask you a little bit more about it in-game, Rusty, but the Taliyah is something I remember seeing a lot last season. Is that still something you think Babip could rock?
Yeah, Taliyah is still a fairly strong champion, just not often seen as much. Of course, there is still a plethora of junglers available. They're not going to opt into it. We may see Taliyah in the future, but for now, it is going to be the Lee Sin for Babip. Big baby bits.
The early phase of the game, and looking across the board, as we'll see where the top and mid settles. I don't think there's going to be too many surprises with the Aurelia top versus Lissandra mid, since Lissandra did seem to be an answer for the Akali. How do you like what Mammoth have brought to answer the Chiefs here?
I'll be honest with you, if I looked at both of these team compositions, one thing that does stick out is that Mammoth have very good solo lanes and a Lee Sin to go between them. But if I looked at the 5v5 more holistically, I have a personal preference to what the Chiefs have put together. I feel like there is a timer on that composition just a little bit more, though, where if Mammoth can slow the game down, and let's be honest, they've slowed games down a lot, including yesterday in their defeat to the Direwolves.
That's very true. I don't know if they were the ones slowing it, though.
The game was slow. We'll just say that much.
Yeah.
But of course, there is a possibility for Mammoth there to be able to scale up, get in those big team fights, and utilize King on the Kai'Sa. I'm curious to see how Raze goes as well. Team fighting AD carry, whether he says it or not. He has had good laning phases. He's got Draven for laning phase. We'll see how he team fights with the pick.
Yeah, I think the Mammoth composition definitely leans into what we've seen their strengths already be, is that they are good, scrappy, as Spawn put it, players at an individual basis. The issue is we do want to see them come together a bit more as a team, and doing that against a Chiefs lineup that has shown to be so incredibly strong is certainly going to be a challenge. But as we are getting the game up and started here, we'll get a little bit more insight from the Chiefs coach, Volt. Welcome to the desk, as it were.
Hey, Volt. How you doing, mate?
Doing well. I'm happy with the draft.
You happy with the draft?
That saves us a question.
There's about the draft as well for the Chiefs. I am curious because last week when you guys were able to take down Bombers, it seemed like you all just reverted to what was, I would say, comfort. Something that every player knows very well on their champions. Is this a big thing for the Chiefs in getting those big victories, just comfort champion?
I think comfort in general is a really important thing going onto stage because it's really hard to transition picks that you're not comfortable in to an environment where you're under a whole lot of pressure. So making sure we get comfortable practice in scrims on champions that we are comfortable on is player identities is really important for us, yeah.
And you would say that helps then focus perhaps on other things like macro choices or big team decisions because the players will be comfortable.
Yeah, there's an old Chief saying about the bucket. So
yeah.
if your bucket is like when you're playing a champion that you're comfortable on, there's not much in your bucket, so you can think about other things. But if you're playing a champion that you're new to, you have to like think about your mechanics on that champion in the matchup.
Do you
And
know
so your
where
bucket
that came from?
fills up. I don't know, actually.
It was 2014. Legacy Chiefs had a boot camp at Riot.
Really?
And the bucket was introduced by a Rioter. I think that's where it stuck
There
with
you
the
go.
Chiefs, yeah. Fun fact. Sorry. Random tangent.
Sometimes they do come about there. But I do want to go a little bit deeper on that because obviously comfort does play a big part in especially some of these picks as well. How do you then put the focus on trying to introduce like newer and maybe less comfortable champions for the players, especially when the meta shifts up and away from those comfortable choices?
So we personally use our first day of the scrim week as experimenting with new picks that we think are good. So obviously you start with solo queue, right, to like start learning the new champions that come up in each new meta. And then the first day of the scrim week, we'll use to just play those champions in scrims as much as we can during the first day. And then if they're feeling comfortable, they're feeling like good, they feel like those champions are good for the meta, then we'll play them in scrims first of the week and we'll be comfortable in them by game day.
Fantastic. I have one more question as well. We seem to be in a slight pause, so we do have a bit of extra time to chat to you, Volt. Talk to me about your bottom lane, because Ayla is someone that we always knew had a lot of potential as a player, and now he is joining Raze, who was always a good team fighter, and now seems to be very good in laning phase as well at the moment. How are those two coming together as a duo? Is Raze taking the helm, or has Ayla just seamlessly come in, they work together?
It's really wonderful to see how Ayla has like joined this team, because you'd obviously think with Ayla being like a rookie and young, he's joining a team of 4 like almost veterans at this point. I think all of them are pretty much veterans. You'd think that he'd be like just like taking a back seat, but when you listen to their team comms, Ayla takes like a really big part of their team comms, even on stage, which is really impressive to me. I'm really impressed with how he's going, and Raze is very supportive of Ayla, I think, because he sees a lot of potential in him. So they work together really well as a duo.
Wow. Definitely good to know and exciting to see, how fast the Chiefs can develop. One more question before we let you go, Volt, as the game is paused once again. With regards to the team's improvement as a whole and the fact that you guys have gotten off to what is pretty much a red-hot start, did you expect that the things would come together this fast with this team?
Not at all. Coming into the split, I thought Bombers and Mammoth were clearly like the two super teams that should be together, or should be like performing well right from the get-go. Like Bombers with their 2 Koreans just being super comfortable, like executing, I guess, and Mammoth being players that have won the split multiple times and like basically a super team as well. So I'm surprised and excited with how fast it's come along for us.
Yeah, it's always a positive, how quickly as well. And I agree, it's a bit weird with Mammoth having some underperforming, perhaps you would say, at the start of the split. That means that, of course, when you play them now, you start to take it very seriously in preparation, right? You can never overlook your opponents in a game like this.
Of course, yeah, we respect Mammoth a lot. And there's also the old rivalry between Destiny and Babip and our boys, so it's a very important game for us.
That's certainly the case. Well, since we've still got a little bit more time, I want to lean a little bit more into preparing for specific matchups as well. What kind of factors do you take into account with regards to the players that you already have like a storied history with? Like, do you really focus a lot on the players that you know more when you're facing off against them versus just a kind of a general team strategy?
It's not so much like players that we know more about. We just look at their games, look at their recent like OPL week, see what we think they're going to play, see what we think they're comfortable in. We saw the Ali Rakan bans from us this game, which is just Destiny is known as a hard engaged player. So taking him off the comfort picks, even with Rakan nerfed, it's still playable. So taking off those picks was the reason we banned those. And it's more so looking at like team styles than looking at individual players when you come into like bans and picks.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Volt, and we'll let you get back to your team.
Thank you very
We're
much.
going to still talk a little bit more about, I think, the team compositions here since we have some time, Rusty.
Yes, we do.
I wanted to really touch on the Draven. I think this is the first one we've seen in the OPL, this split.
I think so. It definitely is a pick that does exist in OPL players, but I think this is the first one that we have seen picked in a competitive game. Of course, we've seen it in other regions, just not so much in the OPL. Of course, the LEC, or the European region, as you may just know it more familiar.
Yeah, I was about to say, I don't recognize that acronym at all.
No, that's, what was the EULCS, has got some Draven players in there. Hans Summer, of course, as people may or may not know. Big Draven player, and he's in a pretty good spot at the moment. You have to remember, when a champion like Lucian is meta, then someone like Draven can very easily come in, because Lucian's biggest strength is that he's got a lot of lane prowess with something like a Braum available or an engaged support, and Draven just outright smacks Lucian around with less effort required. The harder part then becomes team fights, but if you're ahead, you do still do more than Lucian.
He's very much a win-more champion, right? And I think when you talk about lane bullying, it seems to work considering the fact that they've kind of got an earlier, or not as much of an earlier champion in terms of the Kai'Sa, and there were so many support bans. So yeah, you mentioned it in picks and bans. You got a Tom Kench who can't really retaliate as much. Yes, he's going to be a big beefy boy once he has the gray health on, but it doesn't matter that much because those axes just keep coming.
Yeah, absolutely. And this actually does come back to a bit of what Volt said. You know, Destiny is an engaged player. And actually, when you think about Mammoth philosophically, like it was discussed earlier, we said someone needs to step up. Someone needs to be the hero for this team, look in the mirror and say, I'm going to be the one to do the engages, or I'm going to make the play. I'm going to be what we need to find success. Well, the Chiefs have come into a draft like this. They've banned away so many support champions, 4 of them gone, and then he picks up a Tom Kench. So he can't exactly do those heroic moments that you may expect of a player like Destiny. He's going to be a bit more on the back foot, defensive in the way that he stances. He can get around the map more effectively, though, with a champion like TK, especially at level 6 with the ultimate, but not in laning phase, and that's where that Draven may run over it.
Yeah, I was definitely going to say that the mid game seems to be where this team will probably try to make these things happen, because you've got some powerful champions that if they pop off, that can start to change the balance in this game a lot. But you also have to consider the fact that there's that lingering feeling, there has to be, of what happened yesterday against the Direwolves with a 55-minute game that there were moments when it looked like Mammoth was going to close that out.
Oh, yeah, there was moments where it felt like Mammoth were just going to bring it back and they were going to be in a very comfortable position as it's just quickly nap time, everyone.
Yeah, just
No
to give you
one
guys a heads
speak
up at
too
home,
loudly.
there is currently reports of an FPS issue on stage that is being addressed by the OPL officials, so that's why we're still in this pause scenario. But, that's okay. Give us a little bit of time to really break it down more. So we spent a fair bit of time talking about Mammoth and how they kind of needed to go home, take a look in the mirror, and realize, you're at a 2-3 start. Yes, it's best of ones. Yes, there's a lot of time to try and turn the season around. It doesn't seem like the expectation is this where it happens, because that's kind of like you get smacked around and then you go up against the final boss. That's not exactly the best moment to start making things happen. If it was Bombers, it'd be the same
Yeah.
situation. But at the moment, those are the 2 top teams in the league.
Yeah, it's really hard for Mammoth to bounce back rather after a defeat to Direwolves. Then, like, congratulations, you've gone up to the Chiefs now as your next game. Bounce back if you can, right? That's not something that you would look at. And I mean, I respect the tips that Ejim went for going for the Chiefs, because when you really think about it, we all tipped Mammoth before the week started. We didn't tip today's games after yesterday. We did it at the start of the week. We didn't expect Mammoth to lose to Direwolves. And so to be able to look at it now as your tips and say, well, that was a fantastic decision. The Chiefs yesterday looked perfect against my own team, which is what I'm sure he was thinking as well, tragically, of course, for him. Then they look very, very commanding. For Mammoth, I really feel like they need to bounce back through the top side of the map, though, in this one. Not the bottom side, not through Destiny. I would love to see more work done by Babip, and he's picked a champion to do it.
Yeah, I think that's totally fair. He's got the options to really try and open this one up, and Lee Sin is one of those champions that can really make things happen quite a lot early. But I will let you inside the masterful analytical mind of myself, Rusty, and talk to you about why I picked the Chiefs as well. Straight face as much as I can.
Here we go.
So obviously, I also picked them at the same time earlier on when they had lost to Order. But I looked at it thinking, okay, well, best of one, things can happen.
Yeah.
But overall, I had chronically underrated the Chiefs at the start of the season. I kind of drew up a little power rankings that I shared with you guys earlier yesterday, and most of you laughed. So that gave me a good indicator of where that was at. Well, I guess I must have not showed you, but I won't talk about it because they're very irrelevant now. Point is, I very much underrated the Chiefs and the changes that they had made, thinking that they wouldn't quite be on that same level, which seems to be a pattern with every new Chiefs iteration. But after last week, even with the loss to Order, I looked at the way they were winning games, and I thought this is very solid fundamentals. This team seems to gel really well, and just like comfort in terms of champions, comfort in terms of how the team plays together is a huge thing. I value that a lot watching players, especially in a game like League of Legends that has kind of sometimes these long games that really test your mental fortitude. And I thought that Chiefs have that better than a lot of teams right now, so that's why I picked them twice this week. So far, I'm 1 for 1, and that's more than I can usually say. So we'll see if it bears out.
It's a good position, a good time in the split to have some faith in the Chiefs as well, trusting their process. It's mentioned that the Direwolves have got a very good infrastructure, but it seems like no matter what happens, the Chiefs have got a pretty good, solid, rigid setup themselves infrastructurally, and they always seem to perform. They've got a roster to do it as well at the start of the split. Whilst Mammoth and Bombers have good and very stacked rosters, so do the Chiefs. When you look at all 5 players, Ayla, of course, the one that you don't know a whole lot about, you should know is a very good player from even the 2 weeks you've seen so far.
Yeah, and they have a couple of veterans on the squad. You look at Swiper, you look at Raze, and those are players that have had Chiefs jerseys for some time.
I just talked you up, Ayla.
And he messed up.
That's just a cute.
It's
Oh, they're themed as well in the bottom lane.
Yeah, that's cool.
We've got Christmas Chiefs, I think it is. I respect this, by the way. A lot of teams actually
Synergy?
do. Yeah, they skin or
I'm telling you,
color
this
their
is
teams.
team. This is team synergy all over. Like you want to be able to match. Teams that skin together win together.
I appreciate the rhyming on that.
You know, I got a few.
Anyway, we are 2 minutes on the Rift Pyro, so we'll get a chance to finally see some League of Legends action. The place that we highlighted for Mammoth was Barbip, making plays around the top side of the map. You'd expect that King and Destiny are their weak side, which means they get the least jungle focus and they'll play the safest, especially with their minion waves, as Topoon gets minion blocked.
That's always unfortunate to see when it happens. Now, Babbitt will wrap around his Tri-Brush, but you could see Swiper actually very quickly had placed down an early ward here. That just means that Babbitt was actually going to go for an invade into the blue buff and only immediately vacates.
Yeah, he chooses not even to contest. He's a level 2 Zac against the Lee Sin. Lissandra seems to have first move as well in terms of lane priority in mid lane. But Swiper has started to move down, but he doesn't have a Zac here.
No, the Zac's actually just focusing on Wolf Camp instead. He did make a beeline for the opposite
Oh,
side.
it
blue
kept
buff, and he gets
aggro.
the leash off. Hey, that's amazing.
I'm really surprised that leash didn't reset, but thank you very much, Barbit, for starting off my camp only. He's going to get a free blue buff, compliments of literally just Swiper walking down saying how you going and Barbit freaking out.
That's amazing. Great work by Only to recognize that there was a moment he could sneak and kind of grab it. Now, question is, can Claire hold off on this gank attempt? The Claw comes through and in go the Twilight Shroud. Getting rooted is Claire. He might have to burn a flash. No, he's going to walk away. I'll follow through. It's Babbitt. Not enough damage to finish the job. Very close call.
But it does force the recall. No teleport there for an Akali in mid lane. Has got cleanse. You would say the saving grace here for Claire is that he saved summoner spells. So he didn't use the cleanse, didn't use the flash, and still gets out with his life. But that's one of those risks that he chose to take. And while he's okay for it now, he could have potentially died. That's the risk that he just ran through. But an expert player gets out.
I just think Babbitt's got to be a little frustrated with how the first couple minutes have gone. Giving up a blue buff steal attempt, and he did zone away Claire, so it's not like he's getting nothing done here, but there is a lot of pressure on Babbitt, as we've been saying, to really deliver early on in this game.
I regretfully have to admit that I lied about the Skinergy in bottom lane. They're color-coded, but they're not both Santa skins.
All right, well, why don't we give him half credit for that?
You can't give half credit for bottom lane having completely different skins, you know?
Color-coded.
They are color-coded.
Yeah, so the Zac's color-coded as well. He's mad.
You know what? Okay, no, that's fair. We'll
Yeah.
give them the points.
It'd be even great if they all picked, like, Chiefs color skins, if that was possible. That's how you determine which
the
champions
whole
you take.
team is red, so
Yeah.
we'll give them that. But they're on blue side, so
Yeah.
really it's just serving to confuse the people.
Well, we did ask at the beginning of the day about Lunar New Year. You know, that typically red is a pretty big color to associate with that.
Yeah, Clear Love fans are going to be rejoicing at what this year is as well.
Yes.
The year of the pig, and Clear Love's
And
fans
farmers.
are called piggies.
Oh boy, little LPL references in there for you.
Like,
I'm glad that like even though you leave the LPL, the LPL never quite leaves you, Rusty.
I'm a coach for an Oceanic team, and I can tell you that the LPL is still here with me. Because I can influence our decisions.
Carrying the torch at the very least. Of course, over here in Oceania, not too far away actually from where the LPL is located in China.
Only 12 whole hours.
Yeah. Well, look, it's a lot closer than where I normally am. I've spent the last half of last year in China.
No real lane threats to be seen down in that bottom lane for Chiefs. You know, we mentioned that Mammoth have a weak side on the bottom side of the map. You could see that Barbip already has made moves into the enemy blue buff, got a gank off in mid lane. All of these things are expected because they have the Aurelia and the Lissandra, which are strong champions. They have kill threat, you know what I mean? So Lee Sin can look at those places. Bot side, they've done well though. Only 4 to 5 CS difference between them, and of course there's a wave pushing towards them. So a majority of that will even start to get caught up as the wave crashes. Everything looking pretty good.
Yeah. Oh, instant level 6 on Tapu. Now Swiper does flash away. Getting those shotgun knees going, but there's a flash forward follow-up and first blood for Tapoon.
And it's a solo kill as well from Topoon. Just gets the level advantage, immediately goes forwards. Barbip just here to help push and clear the way for a reset. And big movements from Mammoth's top laner in a 1v1.
This is what we talked about. Mammoth have great solo players. That hasn't been their problem this split, despite the fact that they're at a 2-3 record. Great play by Tapoon. He hits 6, immediately goes to the Vanguard's edge, forces a flash, and gets the kill off onto Big Swips.
And someone has to step up for Mammoth, and it may well be one of the newest players in the OPL as well of Tapoon. We'll see how he continues to go, because that was Swiper with his teleport down. The minion wave crashes on the turret and only has to receive the wave, has to pick that one up and try and keep the minions, the experience, still going to someone on their team. He reveals himself on the map as well and buys time for Barbip, and that's just such a big start, a big power play in a 1v1 there from Tapoon.
Yeah. And, you know, it's a team full of superstars, effectively, in the namesake at the very least for Mammoth. Tapoon, the least known player, you know, coming in pretty fresh-faced. It's nice to see him stepping up as well. That was one of the question marks prior to the start of the split that a lot of people had. Obviously, 1 kill a superstar does not make, but it's a good start to this game, as Mammoth need every little bit to start the turnaround.
Absolutely, but 1 solo killer superstar could well become.
That's true, especially on a champion like Aurelia.
And against a player like Swipe. You know, Swipe is not the best laning player in League of Legends. He's known, as we've mentioned all the time anyway, for his tanky style, which usually means persevere through the laning phase and team fight like an absolute monster. Swipe is actually most known for his big teleport plays and his random groupings in lanes, the team fight.
Ooh, looks like mid lane is the next theater of battle. Babbitt going in, tagging, trying to look for Claire. Dashes that wall, though, and you can see Only was kind of hanging in the background, but he opted not to try and go in. Good escape from Claire, who had burned his cleanse a little earlier on, but still holding on to that flash. So crucially, Claire hasn't been completely bullied out of this lane. He is losing out on the farm game, though.
Yeah, I had to go for the Dark Seal on his recall as well with the Doran's Blade. So at the end of the day, not feeling the best as they are going on Only.
Yeah, it looks like he forced his hand there with the teleport. Looks like it's going to come through, and flashing forward, gets the kick back, and into the little blobs he goes. Claire has found himself in a 1v3. Now with the Vanguard's Edge trying to run through it, Swiper is late to this party. Claire will finally, no, not fall. It was close, but he burns that flash for good.
Yeah, Claire was able to keep his flash in the last trade, use the ultimate, but it means he doesn't have the ult for the following fight, and Mammoth bounce back again. They get kills. This time it's Barbit with the flash kick on Lee Sin. He does make the play on the Zac. After Zac goes forwards, knowing that his team's not going to be able to help him nearly as much as he would like, but the instant teleport from Tapoon was a big deal, and it shows once again they are here to win this game.
Whatever happened yesterday after the Direwolves lost, Mammoth have clearly gotten themselves in a winning headspace. So 2 kills on the board here for Mammoth. That means a gold lead of about 1,500 as we get closer to that 10-minute mark on the game. Chiefs are going to have to play a little bit more cautiously here. This is going to slow down Only for a little while. It's a team comp that, you know, you talked about at the beginning of this game. It was going to be one that, as a 5-man unit, it should shine, especially in the mid game. Maybe not until the very late stages when scaling will take over for the Mammoth side, but right now, they're going to have to rely on being able to make 5-man plays. It's been pretty quiet bot side. It's all been about the solo lanes.
Yeah, Zac's now hit level 7. Swiper, of course, has Ignite, so while he doesn't have Teleport, he's got pressure in lane. You know, bottom lane will have a lot of strength as well. They'll be stacking up those Adoration stacks on the Draven. So that's what you would expect from them. You know, wait for Swiper's Teleport, bring Only down to perhaps the bottom lane, or bring the bottom lane to you for something. A big objective on the map is available. Infernal right now. Rift Herald's going to be up as we speak. So there are places they should start looking, but Tapoon's just smacking him around and really making this hard for the Chiefs to slow the game and have a set play.
Chiefs definitely under pressure. Multiple lanes, multiple parts of the map right now. Only actually waiting inside this Dragon Pit as Babbitt starts to clear away. Scuttle Crab, Claire, and Only jump in. A little bit of a miss on that one, but he does stick the goo. Here we go, flashing forward. Triple is there as well, and they're going to go bouncing, abducting the Lee Sin. Tagging in is Ayla. Perfect on that timing for the Glacial Fissure, and Claire picks the kill back up and goes for the double.
The only tragedy there is that Raze wasn't gifted the kill. Claire secures it. Swiper has to use heal in top lane. He is really suffering, but Tapoon no matter means that the Chiefs, they do get the play thereafter. Without Swiper there, Only comes in clutch. And it just could have been 1% better if Draven got those stacks.
Yeah, still though, a recovery for Chiefs right now, putting the kills at even 2-2. Still a gold advantage in favor of Mammoth, and all you have to do is take a look at the CS differences in lanes to see what's happening there.
Everything is struggling on the top side of the map, that much is certain, but the Chiefs have built themselves a win condition. Now, Claire is just such a superstar of a player in the Oceanic League. Now he's got 2 kills, he's got an Infernal Dragon as well to amplify his damage. As Mammoth, they have brought their bot lane up top.
That tongue lash lands, and Swiper is probably in trouble.
He probably just would have flashed away.
Yeah.
But that could have been a summoner burn, which is very dangerous against someone like this Aurelia,
That's true.
especially as they have forced the lane swap. Aurelia now bot lane. Tom Kent's very quick at going top. King still has teleport through all of this as well.
Yeah, because Swiper burned his TP to come back up to the top side, that means he's going to be crab walking very slowly down to bot. Tapoon has free time to push this wave in. He does miss the cannon, so a little bit of a negative mark there, but he's so far ahead, he can afford to throw away a little bit of gold.
We'll call it a 3-strike rule with cannons usually, you know, it's just you can't help but be upset when they're missed, but he had the wave pushed in, he got a full extra wave over Swiper, so we'll let that one slide.
You can see Swiper is playing very conservatively. He actually shoots into the brush to see if the Aurelia was waiting. Yeah, there's a healthy respect, a healthy fear of the Aurelia.
That's good, knows the threat assessment of where they could potentially be. Make sure that he doesn't die. He knows that he's on the weak side of the map, and again, I've been speaking about weak side League of Legends a little bit in this game, but it's one of the most underappreciated aspects of League of Legends in a competitive sense. Being able to play to a side of the map where you have less vision or less control. Swiper showing that he has got it down. He's played his fair share of tank.
That's true. Of course, the got a very early pickup here for Chiefs. It's kind of been a, if it's open, you must pick it.
Urgot's always been like a, if it's open, you must pick a type of champion. Though some teams have found some counter picks for it.
That's true.
Aurelia are going to be one of those, it seems.
Claw coming through. Nice little shuriken flip for Claire. Backing away. He dashes back in, actually. Feels like he can take this fight. Only it's on the back of Babip and actually sticking him. So we're in for a fight in the mid, and Claire looking for the outplay onto Triple, but he puts himself in the frozen tomb. Babip, low on the health bars, trying to dash away. Flash forward. Raze cashes in those stacks. And meanwhile, Claire forced to get himself out of there, not before he's shut down by Triple. It's a one-for-one trade
Mammoth
so
on the
far,
wrong
but Mammoth
side.
are on the wrong side of this map. Vanguard's edge, but it's an escape attempt here for Tapoon. Triple clawing his way to freedom, but he gets yoinked back in by the Urgot. Big kill for Big Swips, and Tapoon's gonna fall as well.
They're still going.
Ray's cashing in once again. We're not done with this fight just yet. No gray health available, and it's a double kill for Draven.
And the Chiefs just get so many kills. 3-0 is now the score of this Draven, and he got a 700 gold adoration stat cash in. That is such a big Draven now. And the Chiefs, while the gold lead may only look like it's 600 between them, look at AD carries after that fight alone, and wait till he purchases items with that.
Yeah, he's going to be having quite the holiday. It will be Christmas for Raze. And let's take a look at this fight again. It all started with what looked like a 1v1 mid lane.
Yeah, it was effectively Triples just hanging around, getting some trades off in his mid lane, waits for aftershock Claire before going in as well with the ultimate, and then has to ult out because Mammoth have completely collapsed, whereas Babip does not have the ult. And then they continue to follow here, Mammoth. They see the kill potentially there on Claire. They know he has no ult, but now they've just locked themselves in the wrong side of the map when there is a Zac and there's an Urgot on the flank, and they get that first kill. And just easy as you'd like from that point. They've got a Braum, they've got the Fear available, and they just keep making it hurt. Zac even gets a second E off. I think he got 3 in the fight in the end. That's how long the fight went for.
And this is exactly what we talk about with Mammoth looking like a leaderless team. That fight was all over the place for them. They had a good plan at the very beginning to try and collapse in and save Triple. But instead, a couple of them greed for kills. Babip gets isolated. We'll talk about that more in a minute because Claire's actually going to get caught up for just a second. He gets himself into a shroud, but that's not fooling anybody for very long.
Oh, Tapoon.
However, Tapoon might die. He does get eat up by Destiny, spits him back out. Ayla and Ray's here a little bit late, so it is a 1-for-none so far. So that was a good play there, but point still stands. Mammoth have had some troubles in some of these fights that have been extended, and Whirling Death means Tapoon is going to be dying pretty soon here. Not much he can do as he gets flipped by Swiper and taken down. A little bit of revenge from the earlier laning phase.
Absolutely nothing he could do in that case. Tapoon was just made to die. Of course, recalling in a very aggressive position. They had vision on him. He didn't respect where the Chiefs were, and he's made to pay. Equalizing that trade means the Chiefs can move over to the next objective. That Draven has a Bloodthirster and a QSS now ready to go. So he's got his offensive build, but he's hard to kill and they want it.
They do want the kills, certainly. It looks like Destiny is going to get taken down. Once again, Swiper chews him up. They even keep the Rift Herald on leash for a second, and the rest of Mammoth know they cannot hope to take this fight. Instead, they opt to trade for a turret in mid lane.
And getting the turret trade is actually pretty good here from Mammoth, making the best of a bad situation. You can see that the Chiefs don't want to give that one up, and they will go down swinging if they have to. Now, Herald was at 1 tick of aggro, so it does reset very easily, only with super low. But at the end of the day, they will still get it. It's just a lot of extra time spent securing that. Was that Urgot recalling? What was that?
Yeah, I don't
There
know.
was a UFO on our screen.
Urgot flying object. Yeah, so I think here the big thing to keep in mind though is that anybody goes up against Raze, especially in these scrappy fights in the mid lane, that's not going to end very well for them.
think
Mammoth
anyone
need
can
to
fight.
force catches, I feel like.
Like at this point, Raze with no flash still has heal and QSS. I don't think anyone can 1v1 him anymore.
No, and Claire's still a threat to deal with too. You know, he's definitely not been a slouch. The two deaths you can really attribute to the fact that there have been like 3 people on top of him.
Yeah, 3 is a minimum. I would say Claire's been heavily targeted by Mammoth, and of course that's after he uses both of his summoner spells, after he
And they're
uses
up
his
now.
ultimate for distance as well. And you're right, he does have them available now. All we're really waiting on for Claire is the Hextech Gunblade. Once he's completed that item, you would say across the board, the Chiefs have got their big item spikes. And the only reason it's delayed so much is because Mammoth have put so much focus on him. He went for the Merc Treads first, which is totally fair.
Yeah, I think that's a solid choice in that kind of situation. So we kind of get back in, at least in the bottom lane, to this extended laning phase because Tower's still standing. Everywhere else, it's going to be maneuvering around the map for just a little while. We're still well shy of the 20-minute mark. And this should be the moment where Chiefs really can shine because despite the gold deficit, the gold is on the important players here. Even Swiper has managed to grab himself a couple of kills through the Fear Beyond Death. It just means that nobody from Mammoth is really getting away in these otherwise indecisive fights.
And you know, credit where it's due to King right now, having a pretty good game for himself, farming up super nicely, a 550 gold bounty, and hasn't died. Everyone else on his team, of course, having 2 deaths apiece. He is probably the one that you would look at and say needs to be a carry now. But look at the opposing team composition and imagine you're a Kai'Sa for 1 second.
Yeah,
There's a
who do you pick?
There's an Urgot. If you want to get into the back line, Draven can probably 1v1 you right now. And Akali's assassinating you, just jumping on you constantly. That is one of the hardest situations for King to play in. And so it requires near perfect play from one of our star players. So if anyone can do it, I would say it would be King.
Still a tall order, all the same.
Yeah.
Mammoth, if they could manage to win a team fight, that would do wonders for their confidence, not just in this game, but I think in general, because you need some confidence, not just after what happened yesterday, but in light of what's happened with the split. It seems like they've come down with a bad case of super team syndrome.
If you didn't see the tweets from Mammoth, they said they were angry. And usually you'd expect this is the type of game where they take their anger out. They've done it 2 weeks in a row now. If you're a superstitious person, you would know that Mammoth don't lose on Saturdays. They only lose on Fridays. So they still want to come into this game and win.
Players caught out once again, although he's feeling a little more confident in his ability to play. The team was at his back, and Mammoth knew that Rift Herald popped in the mid lane. So it's going to take a charge, and that should mean Chiefs can start opening this map up pretty soon.
Yeah, you know, I'm really feeling this Akali and Alessandra matchup for the Akali. Re-engage every single time once Aftershock is down. Yeah. It's doing a lot of work for Claire. It's helping.
And Claire picked that one blind, too.
Alessandra's a very good diffusal pick, I will say, into Akali. But you can see, you know, isolated 1v1 what Akali can do back to you. I think the problem is that Babip's always going to be there. You know, if Akali constantly wastes Shrouds just to trade, then you have free entry to get kills on her. So it's all about knowing when you can afford to trade and when you can't.
But for Mammoth right now, as we're getting in 20 minutes into this game, we've talked about the team's need to kind of develop a little bit of leadership. We've looked at Destiny to maybe provide that. What should Mammoth be doing at the moment that they're not?
As a team or on the map right
On the map,
now?
yeah.
Well, right now Baron is available, and they don't really have the team to do it, but they don't want to let their opponents get near it, I would say. So you would probably go 1-4, put Topoon on the bot side of the map where he currently is, because he's still strong. He may not be able to just outright 1v1 Swiper with an exhaust there, but he is still strong.
He
But
lives
things
through
have
this one.
changed here.
Oh boy, here comes the teleport. Let's see if Tapoon can stay alive long enough for Babip to get through. They tag back and forth, and Looks like
Oh,
Zach
dear.
makes some kiss. Here we go. We get the knock up onto Babbitt. Still the turret doing damage with 1 tick of health left available. Triple and the rest of the team trying to run for their lives as only gets knocked back. Triple gets
They're all
flipped up,
in.
and it's going to be a party in the bot lane. Ayla going forward, but he looks like he tries to back away. Triple getting the AoE damage out, and Tapoon trying to get the finishing blows. It's going to be Raze that claims the first kill of the
Look at
fight.
Raze.
Axes are flying, flashing forward. That's 1, that's 2, that's 3. How about a triple? And he wants some more here. Looking for King, who flashes back and away. Destiny will lick him in the end, and we're down to a 2v2, but Mammoth just might be able to turn this one around. Since Claire was not in this fight, it looks like Mammoth will get the better of it, but just barely.
An absolute bloodbath in the bottom lane, but you're right, the biggest deal is that Claire was not there, and that's why Mammoth can afford to go so hard. They'll trade turrets, and at the end of the day, Mammoth still get kills, they still get a big influx of gold. They are ahead in gold right now, and you can see King still yet to die.
Here's the start of it. Tapoon gets exhausted and gets jumped on, but Babbitt is right there, as you said.
There's just not enough damage here, you know, Pyra. For the side of the Chiefs, they are putting down a lot of work. They even get a second jump reset here, and it's just a good kick from Babbitt, diffuses it completely. Triple is very low, and at this point, Raze has to get a pentakill, you know what I mean? Like, he's the only one that can really contribute that super meaningful damage. He's got a QSS, he has got his flash, he has got his heal, and he uses all of it to lock down the third kill, where really you could look at this and say maybe he was actually penta hunting. He could have potentially just continued to play front to back, use Ayla, use only, kill King of Destiny instead and let the Lissandra get away. Maybe they win that fight, the Chiefs, but there was still no Claire. If that was a 5v5, Chiefs win that.
Yeah, I think, though, to Mammoth's credit, especially Destiny, I want to give some props to his ability to really stop some of these kills from happening. There were, yes, flashes burned, but Destiny used the Devour where he needed to try and get people out of bad situations.
Absolutely.
On the back of that, though, Chiefs did pick up another Infernal Dragon.
Yeah.
So that's massive for a team that wants to 5v5, or at least 4-1, to have now 16% AD and AP increasing across the board. And compare that to Mammoth only on the Cloud Drake.
Yeah, Chiefs still scaling super well into this game. Baron now the place that they should all be looking towards. We've had our bot lane fight. Teleport still available, however, for both of our top laners. So you probably reassess the map state right now and say that we are at a point where people probably can do Baron quite quickly. You know, 2 items, 3 items done for some members. A 1,000 gold bounty on this Kai'Sa as well.
Who got
really
2 kills
putting
in that
work.
fight. That's the key thing, is that the Kai'Sa got some very needed kills. Fight's going to get started, though, in the mid. Only kind of makes the rest of Mammoth scatter here. Winter's Bite from Ayla doesn't connect, but Chiefs have spooked away the Mammoth members. Tapoon on the bottom side with Teleport.
There's no Warmogs yet for Only, so he's going to have to find some Honeyfruit or some jungle camps, maybe get himself some health. This time around, it'll be a recall. Once he has the Warmogs, he can probably continue to do that a few times. You know, if it goes poorly, you've got an ultimate. You regenerate your health, then you go again. And then maybe have a flash that time. You know, you could just constantly look for opportunities until one works, and then you win.
Yeah, it's the Zach Bouncy House of Fun.
Which means that Mammoth have to respect that a whole lot. Got some champions that are quite good at dealing with it. You saw the Lee Sin kick earlier. You know that Tahm Kench can save you. The risk, of course, being that Only can then abduct both of you with his ultimate.
Yeah, that's true. It's a double-edged sword sometimes. You have to get yourself out of harm's way.
It's very hard to hit a Kai'Sa as well as a Lissandra with all that.
Ooh, oh boy. Claire thought he wanted that, but look at the reaction is immediate from Mammoth. They spend everything
That's
to
5
jump onto
people.
Claire.
He's going to get out from the looks of it, but that was 5 people moving right there. Top laner uses teleport. King and Destiny getting with the Tahm Kench ultimate. There was no hesitation. They want Claire to overstep. They want Claire to get hungry and say that I can take him 1v1. And he can. But they are playing to a player's tendencies, and Claire is being very strong in his mental resolve. He is not going for plays. He is not going for big solo moves. He's trying to win as a team.
Credit to Claire. Not always hunting for the highlight reel. Mammoth are going to reset here. They have a lot of vision control on the Baron. There is still a little bit in favor of Chiefs, but it's mostly around the backside there. But it looks like Chiefs are content to let things play out for the time. They're not going to be rushing for that Baron. There's still a lot of time. You talked about a timer on this composition. I don't think it's anywhere near to running out.
I think you asked earlier, you know, when we said that the game between Direwolves and Mammoth was slow. Were Mammoth slow is always a question that we can ask. And I think one thing that we do know for certain is that the Chiefs are fairly slow. They're trying to be methodical in most of their movements and decisions they make around the map. They go for set plays a lot of the time, and those set plays are usually very successful. That's why they're 4-1 currently. Mammoth, I feel like they are being the aggressors in this current map state, using Tahm Kench ultimates and teleports, usually being the first one in to make those plays as a team. It's about, can Chiefs get that counterpunch on? Because the curious thing about it is, like, Mammoth can go for fights, they can go for picks, but a lot of it to me does stand out as picks. It's not a big Zac ult to the middle of people. It's not a big Braum ult as well to lock them down. It's Lissandra maybe, it could be a Lee Sin kick, it could be an Aurelia stunt, but none of those things are seen to the layman viewer as like a team fight ulti, you know?
No, it's definitely a lot of pick-oriented play. And if they can get a key member down, that starts to change the Baron conversation. And, you know, that's how you really snowball this game out of there, especially if it's Claire or Raze. Thing is, Raze is never going to be left alone by Ayla. So it's really Claire, that's been the target of choice, and that's why we see so much expended to grab.
Exactly, yeah.
But here's the thing. All the cooldowns are pretty much back up now anyways, except for Tapun's teleport. So Mammoth don't really lose anything for making these plays at the moment.
They don't lose too much for it, but I will say that, like, to that point, we said they need to get picks. They're trying to do it on one of the hardest to pick champions in the game.
That's also true.
So that's where they're hitting a brick wall right now compositionally, and so they need to really find some inspiration, do something different. I would say stop looking for Claire, start looking for Swiper if you're going to make plays like that. And we did see already some movements on the bottom side of the map. Mammoth came out with a kill advantage from that. You can see there is a condition on the map with which they can perhaps force those bigger fights, and it could just be about bringing yourself towards Swiper. But with the Baron up, the current map state how it is, I don't think you can. You would lose Baron for it.
And that has been the big objective right now. It looks like Chiefs are going to go ahead and start this up. It is in the dark at the moment, but they do see Claire wrapping around thanks to the control ward and the other brush. And there's a slow reaction here from Mammoth, but it is a reaction all the same. Tapoon doesn't have teleport, so he's going to have to run for it. And the Baron is already down to half health. Babbitt coming through around the backside. They're going to turn for the fight. They don't want to give Babbitt a chance to try and get the steal off. They do get the knock-up onto Destiny. King is going to hop the wall here. Babbitt is left for dead, but he dashes back over to Triple, and it's just tag team League of Legends right now, but no one's getting away from the Urgot. Tapoon is down, and so is Triple, and it's right back to Baron.
Yeah, Chiefs just get a pick. They're still looking as well, only wants to find another target.
I don't know if all the team is on the same page there. Little blobs go down, but Babbitt is going to be on the run from Claire here, waiting for that blast cone. Does use it over the wall. The Baron resets, but it started up back once again. Only will get a reset himself.
They're not going to lose a lot of health for hitting this Baron as well, so that's why the Chiefs can very successfully make the decision to not burn it, but instead to turn it. They get the team fight they're after, they get the picks, and Baron's just free for them now.
And there's no reaction available from Mammoth. They've lost 2 of their big damage dealer threats, and, you know, if anything, you can see the pings on that they want a Consolation Dragon. This is hard-earned by Chief. It's like you said, it's all about the set plays.
But like we discussed, you know, while Mammoth may not want to go for the Baron fight, what choice do you have when so much of the map belongs to the Chiefs? They have control of Summoner's Rift. They force you into areas around the map that you don't want to be. They get those picks, they get those plays. One thing the Chiefs do very well, by the way, is their vision. They've always got good wards in place. You can see even at the end of that last fight on your mini-map right now near the red buff, just littered with Chiefs' vision. They know exactly where you are.
Certainly a quantity team for sure. You can always see a couple of control wards in the inventories there right up until they get the full builds. But speaking of full builds, it's going to be a ways away from that. We're still shy of the 30-minute mark, and
Just
Chiefs
managed to trigger the coach in me, Pyro.
Yeah.
There's not control wards in everyone's eyes.
Not everyone. A lot of them.
Doran's Blade, Pyro. There's a Doran's Blade, a Dark
we don't
Seal.
talk about that one on the Draven. He needs more damage.
I'm talking about it.
He's an AD carry. He doesn't count. Trust me, I spent seasons playing that role, and you always need more damage.
And that's what all AD carries say, but you're all wrong.
Well, I could have used a coach like you, maybe, Rusty. For the record, I do usually sell the Doran's Blade at like 30 minutes.
Damn right. could be earlier if you need.
I'm still pretty bad. But, you know, hey, knocking on the doorstep here. It's Chiefs. Decent siege damage. Mammoth know they have to react soon enough. They will posture forward to try and stop this tower from falling, and they do for now, but it is a stiff breeze away from going down, and it looks like they'll walk in and take it. Meanwhile, up top, you can see Claire polishing off the inner tower, and this is... The Chiefs are hoping to be a game-ending siege.
I think that was a crit from Raze with a single Zeal as well on the King. 760 damage, fights on.
Looks like it. They found Triple, but whoa, they just cut through the Zac, and he has no path. All of a sudden, the game has started to change a little bit, but Triple's getting melted through here. Ayla is going to be the one that falls. However, the second wind from Claire and Raze is just too hot to handle. He doesn't care about the Tahm Kench. King goes golden. Is it gonna matter? I don't know about that one. It's going to be the Guardian Angel proc. Oh boy,
But they run.
Stand aside.
They have to run. They can't deal with Raze when he comes out of Guardian Angel. They used everything they had just to pop that in the first place. Chiefs, they've still got Baron. Raze will regenerate all of his health on a minion wave. 2 auto attacks, and he's back to full 3, and he has a shield. Claire as well, and they're still pushing.
Now that's the AD carry dream. King takes 1 damage, hops into the belly of Tahm Kench. Raze is tanking tower shots and just doesn't give a damn. Claire is going to be able to finish off 1 tower with the assist. It looks
5
like
seconds
it's just
on
the
respawn.
Nexus. They're waiting for the respawn. Will they have enough? King is going to go down, and that's going to be game. Raze with the shutdown, shuts down Mammoth, and Chiefs Esports Club taking themselves a 5th win.
The minions in the end, they still had the Baron buff. The minions end the game. One of them was kicked into the fountain, the other one was inside the belly of a Tahm Kench, but the minions still had a Baron buff. And so the Chiefs will win that game. That was a better fight from Mammoth, I will say. It was a much better fight overall. There were some stronger points. There are some things you can take from that game and feel very confident about moving forwards. But Mammoth didn't get the victory. The Chiefs, they proved to just be too strong.
I think that's honestly the long short of it. There was some good signs from Mammoth. I think they chose good targets. A lot of times they were going for these picks. Babip, despite some early game frustrations, did find some good plays. But just overall, Chiefs as a 5-man unit were better more often than not.
And it may just be that the Draven was even a pocket pick from Raze that they didn't expect. You know, having the Draven available and then choosing to go for something like the early Kai'Sa. Granted, the laning phase was fine, but you could just see how much presence Raze was able to have in these team fights and how compositionally the Kai'Sa really had a rough time dealing damage. There's just so many threats that even at times become untargetable or block damage very easily. You know, having a Braum, having a Zac with the ultimate, it's just so hard to get the damage down.
There's no
even
safe
Akali.
target. There's no safe target. It's hard to kite when everyone can stick to you like glue, and when your ultimate is literally go into someone's face.
Yeah.
That's not usually all that great.
Yeah, and when you're a many-hit passive champion, you literally cannot hit them to get your passives off. Not having a good experience would be the Kai'Sa.
All right. Well, I want to hear what the couch has to say about that win that the Chiefs just took. Take it away, guys.
Well, like their namesake, it seems like Mammoth have gone extinct this weekend. I mean, that was not expected, and particularly not in the sort of like definitive way. Well, not expected from 2/3 of the couch, and particularly in the definitive way that they took it.
Yeah, certainly. I think that was just a strong, promising victory there from the Chiefs. I feel like that game, if you look at me, Mammoth kind of lived and died by Babip. Very early. What are you shaking head at?
You can say whatever you want about it.
Okay. But like very early on in the game, like the Topoon got absolutely booned by creep block, and Babip went for like this invade.
Yep.
And then unfortunately, like a little bit after that, topside river, like Chiefs go for this weird contest, and the game did look a little bit rough. Swiper getting solo killed.
Yep.
Draven didn't do anything in the early game. But then as soon as it got to like this one mid-game pick, Babip, triple, they die, their composition just absolutely fell over and there was nothing left.
Yeah, like this is such a strange game for me, right? Because you've got Lee Sin that completely out-tempos. Aurelia is a good matchup into Urgot during lane. And then Lissandra should be able to beat Akali. You should have like an absolute crushing top side of the map. And they just like, they refuse to play around their windows. Like, Aurelia is on 20% health. Instead of letting her like shove out the wave, get a good reset, come back to lane and like going for a topside invade. Oh, let's just force a topside invade straight away. Like let's not respect the other team at all. Let's not respect numbers and the ability to rotate through jungle. Like even though Lissandra has priority, she still has to go through river into blue buff entrance to get anywhere near that fight.
Yeah.
Whereas like Swiper just literally walks down river. Like he has nothing to do top lane anyway.
Yeah.
That's just, I mean, if I'm Fantix, I'm sitting there watching the start of that game, I would roast my team. Like, that's just not good enough. And then you see them take team fights, and they just look uncomfortable. This is a team that, like, I don't know, like, potentially in scrims, they're just getting 10,000 gold ahead, and, like, they don't have to team fight properly. But, like, this just looks like a team that is trying to run over people. Like, bottom lane team fight was, like, a great example, right?
Because that was a 4v5.
That was a 4v5. They still went even.
Yeah.
And, like, there wasn't
Players
an
hitting
Akali
top
there.
turret.
Arguably, like, the strongest member at that stage in the game, level 11 Akali, is just absent from the team fight.
Yeah.
And they still couldn't get it together. Everyone using, like, I think there was a one-person Aurelia ultimate. There was a disengaged Lee Sin kick, and then, like, an attempted re-engage. Like, it just does not look clean.
Because it was also a play that they committed to.
Yeah.
Like, they didn't have mid-priority, and they do have a Tahm Kench to kind of cheat tempo to get down towards a team fight when Akali's top, but that was something that Babip was looking for a pick with Topoon in the side lane. And you kind of hit on it in terms of before the game, saying it did look like a team that doesn't have that clear leader, that clear call, and that's exactly what we saw, right? Things were kind of a little bit all over the place, and that just allowed, like, I mentioned it just before, Draven didn't get anything done in the early game. There was the skirmish below mid, Claire, Akali just takes the kill when that would have been like a huge shutdown or a huge like cash in for the Draven. That could have got snowballing a lot earlier. He eventually got like 1,000 gold cash in with a 700 passive proc plus the shutdown, the kill, whatever. So Quinny K really came online. The back end of that game, like he was a monster, but it didn't start out that way.
Because this is the way I want to put it, right? The Chiefs, they look like they don't care if the game goes even for the first 30 minutes.
Yeah.
They're like, if we just get to a team fight, we'll win. Mammoth look like a team that is like panicking to get lanes ahead, like forcing every little play they possibly can, and it's just opening themselves up to mistakes, like the catch in the mid lane that led to the 1,000 gold shutdown where Babip's on the wrong side of the mid lane. And I just think that like this is a team that like should be good enough to win 50-minute games. Like they should never feel like individually they're on a clock.
Yeah.
But I always feel like even against Direwolves, when that game got to 50 minutes, I had no faith that Mammoth was going to beat Direwolves. And like when you look at the players on paper, like that's a statement about how they're playing as a team. And I like honestly like I don't know like what the solution to that is.
Yeah.
Like they just look not confident in each other in these team fights.
Because it's also like, if you look at the preparation going into that game, this was obviously a very prepared strategy from Chiefs. Target Destiny, remove every single tank, bar a very defensive Tahm Kench, blind pick a Braum, and like they have to go for either like a range matchup, which isn't really the meta, or go for the Tahm Kench, and then they play with this Draven. But it's also like, yesterday, Babip was like Camille into Olaf. He went red buff like Scuttle into blue invade immediately, going for that level 2 invade. Today, did exactly the same thing and then got punished because his top laner like took a very rough trade. Minion block, a little bit of a Lamau, but like you have to respect the fact that it did happen. Right? And so it's like Chiefs have a very prepared draft, but it feels like maybe the starter game for Mammoth, it's like they have a plan and no matter what happens, they're just going to do it. And in this case, like, it shouldn't have been done once the reality of the situation set in.
And on the flip side, you know, praise to Chiefs because like this is a hard comp to execute. You got Draven that's an immobile AD carry, Akali who's melee range and doesn't generally like to team fight all that much, would rather be in the split in most situations. And you got Isla not playing an engage support this time around for kind of the first time, playing Braum, who, you know, is, in my opinion, one of the more finesse-heavy supports. People say Braum's easy, but he has very clear windows where he's incredibly strong and windows where he's kind of useless if he gets caught out. And Isla played that game with like very few mistakes, or Ayla played that game with very few mistakes. So this is a team that honestly like is confident playing like 3-4 different styles at the moment. It's pretty good.
Absolutely. Well, we spoke a lot about how Mammoth lost this game, but like Jake just said, Chiefs did win, and one of those winners is at the desk with Pyra. It's Swiper.
Thank you very much, Nick Boy. I am joined by Big Swips, so
Hello.
congratulations on the win.
Yes, thank you. It was a pretty good win, I'd say.
Yeah, I think that's a fair statement. Talk to me about the Draven, because that was a bit of a surprise to me. It's a champion that's floated about in every league from the dawn of time. But it seemed like it was a kind of a pocket pick for Raze. Is that something you guys have been practicing?
Yeah, I think we really like it, like specifically into the Lucian. But Quinn Raze just goes through these phases where he's like, he just tunnels on one champ and he's gonna play it no matter what. And he just woke up today and he's like, I'm playing Draven. Like I could just see it in his eyes. I don't know how good it is. Like I don't pay too much attention to bot meta, but I don't know. He carried me. So
what is the look in the eyes when you play Draven? It's just you just see Draven face in someone's eyes.
He just wakes up with like a demon like tired look, and he's just like, I'm playing Draven.
All right, that's good. Well, it seemed like in the laning phase, it didn't actually have as much going on, and up top as well, you definitely seem to have a hard time tussling with Irelia. How do you, as a very experienced player, how do you respond to kind of getting bullied out in lane quite a lot?
I would say that I'm sort of used to it, to be honest. I'm not the best laner stylistically. Going in against Topoon is sort of like going against Mimic. It's just they're very lane dominant players, and when he picks Aurelia, obviously he's going to be really confident. I messed up and he abused one of my windows. I would say, yeah, like my strengths are obviously mid to late game team fights. I just need to show that I can be capable in lane phase, which I normally can. I don't know, just some days I wake up and I just have a rough one. So
yeah, but you still managed to make it work out in the end. It seems though that Chiefs overall play this style where regardless of what happens in laning phase, you come together for 5v5s, for skirmishes, and you seem very comfortable. What do you credit that to?
I don't know, to be honest. I think it actually surprises me just as much as you guys. I think in scrims, we struggle to find an identity some days, but when we get to stage, we just seem so calm and we know exactly what we want. I think I've never been on a roster that has like comms that aren't yelling. Like we don't yell like very much at all. It's just sort of like maybe once a game, but we just know what we want and it doesn't matter what comp we're playing. We sort of like figure out a solution to most situations, which is rare in a team. And I don't know, it's really paying off for us. So
Yeah, it certainly is. I mean, you're 5-1. You're top of the table right now. One last question I have for you, Swiper.
Yep.
Do you feel like the Chiefs are the best team in the OPL at the moment?
I don't know, because I still view Bombers the team to beat. I think they're sort of like the Goliaths. I actually think this year is a bit like we're Direwolves last year, and I believe Bombers are like Chiefs last year. And I think Order is also playing out of their minds as well. So it's all very close, and it's all best of one, so it's really hard to know who is the top dog. But we're taking like every week as we go, and results are showing. And I don't know. I guess we're starting to prove ourselves. So
Certainly the case. Well, once again, congrats on your win.
no, thank you very much.
All right, back to Nick and the boys.
Everyone made a face when with the comment.
You want to
that,
know why?
Chiefs don't yell a lot on comms.
Yeah, because
Just
there was a
blatantly
mic check
untrue.
done.
Yeah, all three of us sat here and went, is that right? Is that right?
They yelled a lot in the mic check, is the point that we're making. So maybe they don't yell a lot in the current games, but I'll tell you, in that game,
Yeah,
they
there
yelled
was,
a lot.
there was some things being said. We can just go with that.
Well, we are back on the couch now. Obviously, we have Pyra here joining us for the rest of the split, and we wanted to get to know him a bit better. So we thought that we would subject him to a version of a game that we played a lot last split, which was Please Explain Yourself, where I go through his Twitter account, I found old tweets of Pyra's, and then I sort of like...
I didn't know this was a thing.
I want to understand